have some notes here, which I probably won't pay any attention to, because when I see you and I hear your voices raised in song, you can't express that in these kind of dry speeches. What I wanted to say is when I hear you and I see you, and I know you're awake and it's 2 a.m, I can understand why Canada loves you. What you did in Canada was outstanding. It was courageous. We need you. When the Memorandum of Understanding between your Department of Forestry and Canada was signed a few years ago, I don't think we had any understanding of how much we would come to rely on you. Sadly, Canada, as you've heard, is in a terrible place in terms of forest fires this year. We have, I think, over 600 burning right now, an enormous number. 800, worse than I thought. And this is perhaps or probably a reflection of climate change. But we need you. We need your courage, your resilience, your growing experience with Canada. I should say on climate change that since I last spoke to you about 2 years ago when you came back from Manitoba, we're working with your government. We have about $400 million in climate finance to help you make the transition away from coal to cleaner energy. We're all going to have to work very, very hard, I think harder than ever, to combat climate change. But in the meantime, we need you. We need people like yourselves to help us deal with the immediate effects. And I know that you weren't just dealing with fires this time. You were actually even dealing with floods. I think that's also an effect of climate change. We don't know what's going to happen next, and we really need people like you who are willing to put it on the line to help us out. So again, thank you very, very much. I spoke with the Prime Minister while I was in Canada. I arrived there just a bit after you did and briefed him and his staff on what you're doing. I know your High Commissioner, Moshaik, is also very actively making sure that Canadians know all about you. Actually, we don't have to do too much because you're all over YouTube. Everyone in our families knows about you as well as your own families. You should be very, very proud of what you did, and your friends and your families, the board and the founders of Working on Fire, Kishugo, should also be extremely proud of you. I think some of you may be going back to Canada at some point. You've still got colleagues in Canada, and I wish them all the very best. I hope that they remain safe, and we will do everything we can to make sure that you are welcome in Canada. I don't know that there's anything more we can do to help you in terms of visas. We'll be as quick as possible. I've just alerted our visa office that there may be more of you going. They will put everything to one side because you are the most important visitors to Canada. We have a waiting list, believe it or not, of 8 months for visitors going to Canada. But you will be done in 8 hours. So that's how important we see you. On behalf of the Canadian government, I want to say that the House of Commons, our Parliament, was also very proud to pass a resolution thanking all of you on behalf of the entire country. Naturally, the government and the people of Alberta especially, where you were this time for 35 days, are particularly pleased that you were able to come and are extremely grateful to you. I also need to thank, in addition to, of course, your management, the Department of Forestry and Fisheries and the Environment. And by the way, I was in touch with Minister Creasy just yesterday about you, again to thank you for coming to Canada. I want to thank as well DIRCO, the Department of International Relations and Cooperation. My own Department of Global Affairs Canada did some work. The Canadian Interagency Forest Fire Centre, and of course the province of Alberta for facilitating you arriving there on time. I'm glad that the immigration people, Homeland, were able to assist last night. I know it was late for them as well. One thing that I told the Prime Minister's folks about what you are, which is perhaps a bit different from some of the other countries that came. As you heard, we've had Chile and South Africa and Australia and France and a number of other countries. But you set the bar higher. Nobody sings and dances like you, but also because you are this unique organization that brings together men and women. And as you know, Canada is a huge supporter of gender equality. You bring together men and women. You work in rural areas. You come from rural areas that are, in many cases, the most deprived parts of South Africa. When I look at you, I see the best of South Africa. And I reflected that when I spoke to the Prime Minister to tell him what you were all about. You're not just forest firefighters, not that that isn't enough, but you're something much, much bigger than that. You really do represent the future of this country. And as you approach next year, the 30th anniversary of the end of apartheid, when Canada and South Africa really came together to rebuild our relationship, I think you represent the next phase. And so I congratulate all of you. I congratulate all of your senior management. I have to say we've come to rely on you very heavily. In a way, I wish we didn't have to do that, but because of the fire situation, I think we will continue to have to rely on you. So once again, a very big thank you from me, from Karen, from the Government of Canada, and all of the people of Canada. Thanks again.